Good evening, Des Moines. Welcome to the Doc and Lefty program here from beautiful downtown. You know what? I'm gonna change the intro right now, Doc. Is that okay? I'm gonna do something a little bit different because I feel like
let's see if it works.
We pimp a lot of Des Moines. A lot. We talk about Des Moines a lot in the intro, so I'm just going to try something a little bit different. Good evening, world. This is the Doc and Lefty program broadcasting to you from beautiful downtown Des Moines, Iowa, in the webcast1live.com studios. With me, as always, popping his lefty cherry this evening, Dr. J. Patrick Bertroche. Doc, how is it going on beautiful St. Patrick's Day?
You know what? It's going great. I hope. Oh, they can see my. It's green. It doesn't look funny on there.
It's that interesting arsenic green.
It's the only shirt. Well, the thing is I'm outnumbered by lefties yet again.
Yet again?
So, yes.
First time ever.
Well, on the show.
Hence the bumper.
Well, yes, absolutely. On the show, but I grew up in Harkin country.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I'm used to being on the other side. Plus, I'm a physician, and they're a rather liberal group, for the most part. Mm-hmm. And then you talk about psychiatrists. Honest to God, I think me and Nightingale are the only ones that ever vote Republican. So,
well, that should, when you're talking about psychiatrists,
I'll have to talk with him.
That should probably tell you something about what you're thinking about.
Yes,
right?
Well, absolutely. It's an occupational hazard, really, truly.
And maybe from Northwest Iowa, finding my way into a liberal field, but living in a more conservative part of Des Moines forever.
Yeah. Well, yes.
On the west side.
Absolutely. So you need to start moving your office out there.
Now we're moving over to the over to Fleur Drive before the end of the month. Yeah, onto the U.S. Bank building over by the Hy-Vee.
Yeah,
on Fleur Drive. So we're staying on the south side because we do a lot of work in the southern rural counties, but we're moving. Mm-hmm. We have floor to ceiling windows. It's good. It's a whole thing.
All right, that is terrific.
Yeah,
that's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a good time.
So anyway, happy St. Patty's Day to everybody out there who's Irish. I'm part Irish. I think about that much. I want to say, Katya and Dash are watching again today, so hello to them.
Okay.
So get that out of the way early. We have an exciting show today.
Yeah.
We have exciting news first, but we have an exciting show today.
I can't wait.
We have David E. Drake, not to be confused with David W. Drake, which I've done that a couple of times, wrote to the wrong guy. And so he is a associate professor of clinical psychiatry at the school. We went to the same school. Our careers have overlapped quite a bit because we're in the same business. He's, of course, from the more liberal side of the fence. He also does a ton of charity work. And it's pretty rare I meet somebody who does as much charity stuff as I do, and David's one of them. Hence, my coat.
Right? Hey.
Wow.
Absolutely. Plus, my mom got on me last week about it. So
yeah.
Anyway,
at least your mom watches.
Yes, that's true. So she did say that you're awful cute, but every once in a while she just wants to slap some sense into you.
Well, that has been the reaction that women have had in my life since I was about 8 years old. They say, "Gosh, you are so cute, but I want to slap the life out of you."
Yes.
What can I say?
At least they're talking to you.
I'm my father's son.
Yeah. Yes.
He'll love that. He listens. He'll love that. Yeah.
Hey, Dad. Can I call him Dad too?
That's more my issue.
All right, that's your issue. All right. So anyway, we have exciting news out there today, all over the blogosphere, all over social media. Mm-hmm. The DOT of Iowa has set up a showdown with the city of Des Moines over the dreaded traffic cams up and down 235. Mm-hmm. And so today, the DOT says you have to remove them, and the city of Des Moines has until sometime in May, I think it's like May 15th or something, to respond. So we're going to see how that fight plays out, because if that happens to hold up here in Des Moines, suddenly bunches of the traffic cams throughout the state are going to be put aside. Because, in Cedar Rapids, I don't know if you know about this, but almost the entirety of 380 in Cedar Rapids is covered by traffic cameras, and they have these weird speed zones. And it's obviously just a big old trap over there. Yeah. So that's going to impact a lot of different cities across Iowa.
Well, now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Clive doesn't have them anymore. Clive was the worst. Clive had the cameras at the corner of Hickman and 80 that you just, if you had scooched over the line coming off of 35 just a little bit, you get dinged with that. And I think those are gone. So is Des Moines now the last
as far as I know.
In the metro?
As far as I know. Now, I believe Waukee toyed with the idea, but I don't know if they
I don't think they ever did it.
I don't think they ever did it.
I was out there a few times, and I don't think they ever did it.
Well, Urbandale never did it because, we're the bastion of conservatism and freedom. So with a lot of, because we have a lot of conservatives out there. Brad Zahn's.
Yep. Brad Zahn was, if I'm not mistaken, Brad Zahn was one of the only conservatives to be against the traffic cams, because as much as conservatives love freedom and whatever, we love whatever quite a bit. Freedom and whatever, you also really enjoy law enforcement and public safety. So
yes, until they start infringing on your rights. So the other thing is honest to goodness, I want to bring up the gas tax because that is irritating the heck out of me. So the latest thing on the gas tax is, remember the big sell that they had on that? Here's what they did. They said, geez, we need it for the bridges. We need it for the farmers. We need it for the roads. We need to repair stuff. And there's almost no repair being earmarked for all the new money that's being collected. It's all to create new roads and bicycle trails. So, well, I know, David, you're a bicyclist, so we can talk a little bit about that. That's one of my favorite pet peeves to get off on. So anyway, I'm sitting here thinking, why in the world am I going to be giving money to Republicans when they can raise taxes faster than any Democrat I've ever seen? Honest to goodness. So anyway, those are my major beefs. Now you you had some things last week come up, some gigs. Did you do those
last week? No, it's this week.
Oh, it's this week.
Yeah, I've got a gig tomorrow night, and then one at the end of the month, and then a bunch at the end of April, and then in May is just like the spring and summer just starts kind of speeding up.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, good. So where's it at tomorrow?
Oh, Blue Moon. I'm playing at Blue Moon tomorrow night from 8 to 11 in West Des Moines.
Flyleaf's coming to town. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, Flyleaf's coming to town. Guess who's opening for her?
Who's that?
Our very own social media guru, Jen Allen.
Well, that's awesome.
And the Spartan Blue. Yeah. So she gave me a link where you can get some really cool tickets and all that other stuff. So
fantastic.
I told her to share that on the website.
Hey, we're here to help everybody.
We're here to help everybody. So how'd you like the 80-degree weather this weekend?
I got to tell you, I'm a sucker for it. I loved it. And I was talking to my business partner about this today. I loved it. I was been in a great mood for the last few weeks because it finally got nice out. But last week, and we both landed in the same spot, kind of emotionally and professionally. We both had trials that were set to go at the beginning of March, he has one at the end of March, but he was prepping for it and stuff. And I had a trial set to go at the beginning of March, and everything got moved. His trial fell through. He had a bunch of criminal trials that didn't happen, and I had a big important one that's getting moved into, God knows when.
Yeah.
And so between the nice weather, moving, packing stuff, it felt like the last day of school. It's felt like the last day of school all week. And I can tell you, I've gotten absolutely nothing done productive in the last few days, because you go to work and I'm just kind of sitting there at my desk, and I do one or two things, and like, boy, it's nice out, and I go outside, walk around a little bit, or just kind of screw around or take an extra long lunch or whatever, because I just don't feel like being at work because it's been so nice. So I'm trying to get out of that little spiral, because it's really easy. It's really, when you're in a great mood and it's nice weather, it's really easy not to want to do a lot of stuff at the office.
I will tell you, it was torture for me. I'll tell you why. Yesterday, every patient I had came in and said, "Hey, Doc, you enjoying the great weather?" Well, no, because I'm here seeing you. So I know you're a ray of sunshine in my life, and but I haven't been able to get outside. That was frustrating.
I'll like it. I'll enjoy it a lot more when the insurance check is cleared. Thank you very much.
Yes, that's absolutely right.
Yep.
Speaking of insurance checks, we're going to be back right after this break, because we have to keep the lights on, the doors open somehow.
We do.
We have a special guest, Dr. David Drake, D.O., graduate of our local medical school and Menninger Clinic, as I recall, Menninger, I think is the correct way to pronounce it. We'll be back. We'll be talking with him. We're going to be talking about his experiences in donating a kidney for a perfect stranger, the charity work that he does, and because the man has a very interesting life. So we'll be talking to him about that. We're going to see if we can get him engaged in a little political discussion, but I doubt we will. So we'll be back right after this break. We want to thank all of our sponsors, BetrosianAssociates.com, LaBinaSlawFirm.com, Halo Capital at DesMoinesInterestrates.com, Des Moines Anesthesia PC at 515-574-6442. They do pain management and regular anesthesia as well. They have 2 offices, one here in Des Moines and one in Fort Dodge. Follow us at Facebook and Twitter, and don't forget to go and check out our website, docandlefty.com. At some point, we will get a couple of blogs up there. I've worked on 2 of them and just
I've got fizzled. A bunch.
Yeah,
that are coming.
So and
I've been saying that for the last 2 weeks, but yes. I promise.
Well, Jen says just 2 paragraphs. That's all she needs.
Megan is out of town. She's been out of town since Sunday. So writing in the evenings is the only thing I really have to do.
All right, good. So keep it short because your brilliance shines through no matter what you do. We'll be back right after this break.
18 paragraphs, man.
Petrosian Associates, how can I help you?
Petrosian Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Petrosh, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around through our, I don't know, what do I like to call it? I like to call it our mental throat clearing. In the first segment of the show, we're here with special guest Dr. David Drake, and we're going to talk a little bit about his experiences. We're going to talk a little about his biography. And Doctor, do you mind if I call you? I call all doctors Doc. Is that okay with you?
Or David is fine.
David, okay.
Sure, yeah.
Well, David, so you are a associate professor of clinical psychiatry at Des Moines University here in town, and can you give us the kind of the 25-cent biography of Dr. David Drake? The first-time guest of the show, the listeners want to know about you.
Wow. I've been here since 95. Went to medical school here and then came back after training and also practice elsewhere. I was very fortunate. The government put me through medical school, so I had a full ride scholarship with the National Health Service Corps, and I worked in rural South Carolina for 4 years with that. And then did a private practice in Albuquerque, and then I came here in 95. I was a full-time clinical instructor and practice at Des Moines University. Then I was in a group practice for a year, and I've had my own solo private practice where I do psychotherapy and also medication management, stress management for about the last 13 years. I also teach medical students. I have students with me in my office and enjoy that. I'm married to a local attorney, Claire Cumby Drake. We've got 2 young adult kids, one who lives in Atlanta, works with a school-to-farm program, or farm-to-school program, and then I have a son who just finished college in Durango, Colorado, works at a hotel there.
So I'm interested. So I'm interested now. Are you from this part of the country originally?
I grew up. Born in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I grew up in Denver, went to public school in Denver, and went to college at Colorado College. I was a religion major there. After college, I went to Harvard Divinity School for 3 years, and then went to medical school here, and a rotating internship and a residency in Kansas at the Menninger Clinic. But we settled here in 95, got good friends here. Wife likes her law practice. I really enjoy private practice. It's worked out well for me. And some people may know I contribute to the Des Moines Register. I write for them about every 5 weeks. And yeah, so
did the divinity background, did that lead into the medical background, or was it a situation where you're a religion major, you go to divinity school, and then you kind of had a road to Damascus moment, so to speak, and the medical field called your name?
Well, it was. I really didn't want to go to medical school at the time I finished my college degree in religion. And religion, I did comparative religion and philosophy. And I was at Harvard Divinity School for 3 years. And at Harvard, people would go there for all sorts of reasons. They would go there to study ancient languages. They would go there to study world religions. Some people went there for the ministry. I went there and took classes in alcoholism, biomedical ethics, even took classes in Harvard Yard in Spanish language, which I speak at an intermediate level, and then applied to medical school and got in here. And so it was, but I think a lot of what my background in religion and with divinity school was all about was talking to people about what gives them meaning in life. For some people, it's philosophy, it's their religion, it's their relationships. And I have a different psychiatry practice in town. I do psychotherapy, so I have 45 minutes with everybody I see. And some of the folks I see are also on medications. And I also teach meditation, biofeedback. In fact, I'm a co-presenter at a weekly meditation group that meets every Tuesday night. I'll be going there after this at the Des Moines Valley Friends meeting. And so I've been involved in that as well.
Would you now we're going to talk a little bit about your philanthropy and your commitment to general do-gooderishness throughout the show. But I want and this is what's interesting to me. So. I had no idea that you had a religion and a philosophy background. I myself am a philosophy major from Iowa City. Went there thinking that I was going to get into the writer's workshop when I went to college, and realized that I had neither the patience nor the discipline to do something like along those lines. And so, what better for a foundering English guy than to settle with the philosophy department, figure out what he wants to do. And I was listening to the On the Media podcast, and the entire show was dedicated to the modern day construction of basically nihilism, pessimism, and are we seeing sort of like the new generation of pessimists and sort of the kind of. And we'll tie this back into psychiatry and some of the narcissism that we see from today's youth culture with social media, things like that. And they kind of did a comparison throughout the decades of the beatniks of the 50s and some of the counterculture in the 70s and things. And is that something you're talking about? What gives people meaning in their lives? And I'm wondering, especially in your psychiatry practice, do you encounter that? I'm sure you've encountered it a lot throughout your decades of practice. Are you encountering that more now, less now, or maybe not following my three lines of logic?
I think one of the things I was thinking of, we know the restaurant Open Sesame downtown. In the back in the parking lot, there's a quote there that I'm not going to get exactly right, but it's something about a good adjustment to a sick society is no sign of good health.
Okay.
Right? But I think that when you think of what I call background anxiety, and Patrick may have some differences with me on this, but we're facing the possibility of nuclear war. We're facing the certainty and present climate change that we're all dealing with, and all the calamity that we're seeing worldwide with weather with that. We had the hottest year on record in weather in this last year, I think those things just in background that people deal with. But I think when I talk about meaning, I think for most people it's about developing and having community. It's about their relationships. And Patrick has seen this well, I'm sure, but work with some people that have almost no connections. They may have no significant relationship in their life. They may not be connected to their family. For some people, it's a religious community, a philosophical community, relationships that give them meaning in their lives, and how people's roles change throughout their lives. I work with numerous women who have been housewives, full-time mothers. Kids leave home and suddenly they wonder who they are. Or a guy or a woman who has put their identity and their time and energy into their job. They lose their job. They don't know who they are anymore. So transitions for people, I think, also is a struggle for finding meaning and connections.
Absolutely. Now we have Dr. David Drake, very interesting individual, joining us tonight. He's from my alma mater, DMU, Des Moines University. Back in the day, it was the University of Osteopathic Medicine and Health Sciences. Yep. And I think that was a criteria for admission, is if you can pronounce the whole thing without stumbling. So anyway, we want to thank him for coming on. He's going to be back after this break. What's going to be the topic after the break?
Well, I want to button that up because I want to get your thoughts on it too. You and I talk a lot about meaning, connections, relationships, and stuff, and I have some thoughts to ask the both of you guys about that.
Right. We're going to be back after the break. We're going to start talking a little bit more in my bailiwick about medicine and relationships and things like that with Dr. David Drake. We'll be back right after this break. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places, especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart, and it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're here with Dr. David Drake from DMU and other noble pursuits.
You know, we actually have three texts all about a certain question.
Oh,
so do you want to take the questions from our audience?
Absolutely.
All right. What? No, it's just people text in.
Gotcha.
And the thing is you made the assertion that we had the hottest summer on record. And all three of our people that texted in wanted to know where you got that information. So
the data, well, I know that, and that's a worldwide figure. It's not like just in Iowa.
Okay.
I'm not prepared to give a source on that, but I know that's accurate.
All right. So, well, there's your answer, everybody. Go ahead.
Well,
Sorry.
and it's not super duper hard to find that out. But anyway, so guys, this is what I'm interested in getting your perspectives on. I think that the culture has been dominated by this sense of especially American culture has been dominated with this sense of existential individualism for a really long time, and the importance of relationships is often touted, but I don't think is a value that our culture, while it recognizes as necessary, prizes above this sort of like strong individualism that we sort of engender. And I'm curious, do you encounter anxiety in folks about whether or not their relationships are genuine, what kinds of relationships they have, whether or not those relationships are healthy? I guess is that a generalized anxiety, and can you tie that? Do you tie that to kind of the culture as a whole? Doc, what do you think about that?
Well, I thought you were asking David. So,
I was asking both of you guys.
Well, I was going to defer to him, but that's all right.
Why don't we have David answer that? Then I'll do the counterpoint.
Well, I think people being comfortable in their own skins, people having a sense of satisfaction, happiness in their lives, I think has a lot to do with the quality of their relationships. And those, I think, are essential. One thing I've found very interesting over the years is to find that all of us go through great changes and transitions and struggles and challenges in our lives, losses, people die, illnesses, all sorts of things. But I think the more that people have meaningful, ongoing connections with people in their lives, that the better they do with those transitions. Otherwise, I think it's much more difficult for them and more prone to developing psychiatric and physical symptoms if they don't have those connections.
and I would agree 100%. You were talking a little bit about narcissism of the younger generation coming up. You know, you have to keep in mind that teenagers, for the most part, are very narcissistic to begin with. I mean, think of all of our youth. You know, think of your youth. Think of my youth. You know, we met when you were fairly young, and you still had a little bit of a narcissistic, you know, miasma about you that, you know, with age has kind of burned off. You know, and I'm not being mean. It's just the truth. And part of the problem is we have everything here in our social media, in our TV media, in our record media, in everything that reinforces completely narcissistic behavior. If you look at one of the big shows of the 1990s and 2000s, it was Jackass, right? And these people all they were doing is just trying to get attention any way possible, snorting fire ants, you know, piercing themselves, beating on each other. I mean, it was just ridiculous. And, you know, I know my son ate it up. He thought it was the greatest thing ever. But the bottom line is all this did is reinforce that narcissism that you always have to go one step further. And we now have a culture that is on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Even if your favorite cable channel goes out, you click on YouTube, you can watch all kinds of stuff with that. So that's just my opinion, my 2 cents worth.
It's technology's fault then?
Well, in part, it's technology's fault. Sure. I mean, at some point, I mean, when we grew up, you had 4 channels if you're lucky and had the rabbit ears, and at what, midnight, the TVs were off. I mean, the station stopped broadcasting and then broadcast till 6 the next day. And this, you know, it doesn't matter what you're doing. There's so many more opportunities to reach out to people, to get your message out through social media. It's so much easier. I mean, look at our show. I mean, if we think we have the greatest show ever, right? And we do. But the bottom line is let's face it, when we first started, we were awful rough. Do you think a radio station or a TV station would have had us on at the beginning? Right? Not really. But with the internet, we're able to get out there. Now, what if we were a bunch of people that like to snort ants and stab each other in the eye or whatever else? It's just, you know, it's so much easier for these kids to get that stuff.
Well, see, I feel like there is something I'm trying to kind of put my finger on. There is something different, but I mean, for example, guys like Allen Ginsberg in the 50s was accused by his elders of being a narcissist, and the folks in the 60s, the hippies in the 60s, were accused of narcissism and some kind of pessimism with the culture. And we've had this consistently throughout the decades, but something about 2015 feels a little different. In this show that I was listening to, one of the commentators pointed out, well, you know, in the 80s especially, we had the Soviet Union, we had mutually assured destruction, we had all that kind of stuff bubbling up to a head. And now in 2015, we don't have the world has, and maybe it is, the technology plays a role, the world has so democratized information of all sorts that and power bases have shifted in such a dramatic way that we don't have the same kinds of black and white, maybe friends, enemies, goals, or challenges that we used to have, and maybe that has contributed to some of this. All
right. So we're coming up to another break. What subject do you want to talk about?
Well, I think we should probably talk about, now, since we have Dr. Drake here, we should probably talk about what he's into, right?
All right. We're going to come back and talk to David Drake and see what he has to say. We'll see what trips his trigger, because we know what trips our trigger. We love arguing. It's what we do. So we'll be back right after this break. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Bertroche and Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. We are proud to work with military personnel and their families. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertroche, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere. Our licensed mental health therapists provide individual counseling to children, adolescents, and adults, including couples and marital counseling. Visit our website at bertroshandassociates.com for more information or call 515-334-9484. Our offices are located at 5525 Meredith Drive in Des Moines, just east of Skate North off Merle Hay Road. Isn't it time to talk to someone? Take care of yourself and your family. Contact Bertrosh and Associates.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around for this first half hour here with Dr. David Drake. Now, David, one of the things that Pat brought to my attention is that you're aside from just your kind of your general charity work that you do a lot of philanthropy around town, kind of culminating in the thing that sort of got a little bit of attention here recently is that you did a humanitarian kidney donation.
I did.
Boy. Here's the lamest question that anybody can ever ask about something like that. What was that like? Can you describe that? It sounds really complicated to me. The whole thing.
It is, and I think this overlaps just with the whole topic of meaning. When I began to, and you guys have both read something I wrote or interview about me for Des Moines University magazine, and the second part of that, they also interviewed my wife, who was a significant part of this. But when I began to talk to my wife about this, fortunately, she was not encouraging, but she's used to me enough to know that I've done some very different things and may have some different ways of looking at things, and was supportive of me looking into this. And the way it started was years ago, may have been Reader's Digest, who knows what, but I began to read about people giving up kidneys, and sometimes to strangers, and how life-changing that can be, and how the person who gives up the kidney does very well. In fact, to be selected as a potential kidney donor, you have to be really healthy. They put you through months of exhaustive tests that are inconvenient to go through, makes you really question what you're doing. And they want to make sure that you're squeaky clean, as one surgeon said. I had family who were very concerned about it. One family member or a friend actually thought, why isn't it enough through your work as a psychiatrist, psychotherapist? Isn't that enough? Being a father and a husband and all those kinds of things I'm involved in. And it was just one more thing that for me was a meaningful thing for me to do. And did this last July. And one kind of fun thing that happened a couple of months ago, my wife and I were invited to Des Moines University and gave a presentation together to medical students about what it was like for both of us. But about 2 years ago, I was at a New Year's Eve party of Jackie Stoken. I think Pat probably knows her. She's a local osteopathic physician, rehabilitation medicine specialist. And across the room at this New Year's Eve party, someone yelled out, not yelled, but said, "Dr. Drake." I didn't know who it was, and it turns out it was a guy who was a student when I was teaching there. And Johan Arts, A-E-R-T-S, is a transplant and trauma surgeon with Mercy, and began talking about his work. And then it was about a year later that I heard about Mercy doing multiple transplants, where one person is
the kidney
donor,
chain,
saw that kidney change, and there were like 5 people who got kidneys as a result of that. So I called him up and asked him about this, and he suggested that I contact Mercy Hospital. Methodist also has a program with this. Iowa City does too. And contacted them and began going through the very lengthy, inconvenient process of donating a kidney. And numerous times I wondered if this was the right thing to do. Again, partly because I was losing time from my practice. It was inconvenient. And they put me through meetings with a social worker as well as my wife. One of the final things we went through was to meet with a physician who was a patient advocate, whose role, as I wrote about, was to scare the bejesus out of me, to make sure that I knew of all the potential side effects. When I asked him more specifically about these possible side effects, he would say, no, he's never seen these. But I went through the procedure. The morning after the procedure, I met the man who has my kidney. He's a guy who lives in Minnesota. Hear occasionally from about him through his wife. And his life was changed. A few months later, he was back to work. He had been on dialysis for years, back active in his home. And I still get rather emotional talking about it now, but it was a very neat thing to have done. It was not a easy recovery, although I was back to work full-time within about 11, 12 days. But like Patrick, we can sit in our chairs, and there's no physical lifting and no construction work involved in that. And so it was something very satisfying. It's not something I recommend to others. What I tell people is, I think, for me, I recommend people find what gives them meaning in their life. And for me, this was something that hooked me. We all get hooked by something different or something else. And to pursue that, and it was something that hooked me years ago and didn't let go of me.
What role do you think your religious beliefs played in this? I mean, I know you went to the Harvard School of Divinity, which I'm sure had an impact somewhere. And I know that you do a lot of meditation. And I assume that you're kind of a Buddhist in nature. And if you want to share, but don't feel obligated. But I would like to know what role your religion played in this.
I think
your beliefs.
I think living my life fully, I think, is probably my religion, my attempt at that. Didn't always do a great job at that, but trying to live as much as I can in the present, trying to realize and appreciate the connections in my life, being responsible. I've been married for 29 years coming up next month, being responsible to our adult kids, to my family, to friends, being involved in the community, being involved in exchanges with people with different points of view. That's why I was very impressed about being on this show with you guys, with your different backgrounds. And Patrick and I share
Holy
things.
Holy cow, not many people say they're impressed to get on this show.
I know. I was about to say the same thing.
We don't even have a shirt or a cup to
Doc and Lefty and impressed.
We had to go steal the cup from for his water from Friedrich's.
You're not going to find those two words in a Google search at all.
No, not at all.
But I think mutual respect and being able to share opinions, and I think interacting with people who think differently, to me, is helpful to my thinking. And Patrick and I share points of view on Facebook, sometimes email, and have some different points of view on things. And I appreciate my relationship with him. And some of the more valuable relationships I have in my life are with very conservative people. In my family, talked earlier about bringing people together in our home, different gatherings around different topics, and how important that is to me.
Absolutely.
You know anybody named Jake?
Jake?
Yeah. Is he a student?
Let's do it.
Apparently he does.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
So,
hey, Jake, thanks for calling in. You are on Doc and Lefty. You have a question for Dr. Drake?
Yeah. Hi, Dr. Drake.
Hey, Jake.
Hey, you look fantastic, by the way. I'm watching the live streaming version.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Anyways, I had a question for you. I was, with the whole kidney donation and everything, I was wondering what the biggest challenge was for you throughout the whole process. Not necessarily the physical healing, but if there was any difficult part at all, or if it was a pretty simple decision and then procedure.
No, it wasn't simple. I was interviewed about this also, but there's a picture of me with the surgeon and my wife the morning of the surgery, and I very naively had a big smile on my face. In fact, I told the anesthesiologist that typically they'd give you Xanax or something to calm you down. It's like, no problem. I am chilled. I'm just ready for this. And it was much more challenging and painful than I had thought, although to set the record straight, as I understand, the pain I went through is much more than most people do. I've talked to people that really sail through it. But it was a rough recovery. Didn't get back in bed with my wife for about 10 nights afterwards because I was so uncomfortable. I had to go to a couch, a recliner, different bed, moving around, and finally got some good pain medicine. And, but the recovery was not easy, but my recovery was harder than most. And I've talked to multiple people who did extremely well and went through it very quickly. And I think that the meaning part is very helpful. I mean, to have met this guy, and my wife met his wife while we both were in going through the surgery, and realized that each other that, hey, my husband's the donor and her husband's the recipient. Wow. And that was very dramatic and moving for her as well.
We're coming up on a break. We have a couple of people on the line, Jake and Houston. We're going to take a quick commercial break. I'm hoping you two can stay with us. And when we get back, we'll continue questioning Dr. David Drake and taking calls from the audience. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back right after these brief messages.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Get away from us, you needle
I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit, you're our hero!
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. We've got Dr. David Drake. We got some callers on the line. We've got Houston, I think, on line 2 has got a question. Once we click that in there, Houston, you're on the air.
Hi, my name's Houston. I'm a student at Des Moines University as well.
Aha.
And so it's pretty cool to see two graduates from Des Moines University being able to do this. But I just wanted to ask for all of you, I guess, it seems like all of you are philanthropists and do a lot around in the community. And I know Dr. Drake said that you need to kind of find your thing, the thing that makes you kind of work. And I was just wondering, what are some opportunities around the Des Moines area that you guys think are good programs for those that want to get involved?
Well, I'm gonna let David answer that. I do more international stuff, but I have my own theories. David, go ahead. Where would you suggest Houston go?
Well, I know Houston, and I know that he and other students have been involved at Des Moines University with the homeless community outreach.
Mm-hmm.
And every Saturday morning they go out and bring fellowship, companionship, coffee, food, clothes to people down by the river in different homeless camps. And he and Kate McGo and others I know who are involved in this and very impressive. But my community involvement myself, I was commissioner and I was chair of the Des Moines Human Rights Commission until a couple of years ago, so I was involved with that for several years.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, tomorrow there is a human rights conference that is free with lunch provided, 8:30 a.m. until 4 p.m. at Des Moines University in the auditorium. There's about 300 people signed up for that so far, but numerous different topics around human rights, civil rights that we could probably have some good discussions about here. But those are some things, and again, Houston's work and Kate McGo and others has been very impressive with Des Moines University, and I'm encouraged that folks like that are going into medicine.
One of the things I would recommend right off the bat, go to a nursing home. Just go do something there. Bring in, if you have a pet that's nice, bring in a pet. Bring some cookies. Do whatever it is, because I can tell you, as people know, my dad's in a nursing home right now, and I can tell you that my dad's one of the lucky ones because he gets visitors all the time, and a lot of these people don't have anybody left. So that's where I would start there. And two, I'm a big fan of Animal Rescue League, especially the no-kill shelters.
Right.
So
what I can tell you, Houston, from my side of things, when you are starting out, when you're a younger guy starting out in business, you don't get to do as much of the community outreach and public works that you did, especially what that I did in law school. Volunteered at the 7th Street Church there in 7th Street and Forest Avenue, or 8th Street, I think, 8th Street Church, then Forest Avenue for a little bit in work, kind of helping serve breakfast for the kids. Early in the morning, did that for a little bit, but they're always looking for people. The Drake Legal Clinic puts on a tax preparation sort of camp every year where they get a bunch of people together to help, and they train you to help do free federal tax preparation for folks that can't afford to go to H&R Block, things like that. They're always looking for help at legal aid. Now, obviously, you can't do legal services for people, but they're always looking for folks to help support some of the work down there in a non-legal capacity.
I had a thought too, and Patrick was alluding to this as well, but Animal Rescue League has need for volunteers, and they train you. I was interested to find out that Patrick and I both have dogs in our offices.
Yes.
And I've got two that come with me every day, a Bernese Mountain Dog and a Lab Mix. One of them was certified as a therapy dog. Now you've got three dogs that come with you.
Yeah, they're all rescues. One of them's a therapy dog, so I still haven't figured out why we'd give up a dog and put them. But yeah, all of ours are rescues, and and I will tell you, it's a good thing I'm a psychiatrist because these dogs are damaged. I'm telling you. So little Elmer, he spent. He didn't come out from the closet probably for 6 months when he just go hide in the closet.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have dogs. Go check out my website, petrosianassociates.com. You'll see them out there. And you see them on the commercial here for us. They are the goofiest little buggers and they get along great. It's a lot of fun to watch them. So we ought to write a joint article about dogs.
Definitely.
And the therapeutic role. Yeah. Houston, are you still there? You have any other questions?
No, thank you for answering.
All right, great. I think we lost Jake. Jake, we're sorry we lost you. I feel like Maddie should have done a big dramatic no.
These kids are in Houston. Med students. They got to get back to doing med student stuff.
So, well, I have some text messages, but I don't think I can repeat them on the air.
Oh my!
I'll share them at the commercial break. So, anyway, what else do you find that? What else do you think that this experience with your kidney donation has brought to you? Do you think it's brought any kind of additional awareness, or do you think that it's made other people more aware of what they can do?
Well, I'm aware that with donations in general, and a lot of people may not be aware that you can give a part of your liver and do very well after that.
They don't want my liver.
Patrick and I both know that guy that used to be the head of the local FBI office, Barry Ferguson, is now in Paris, who had an agent working under him who gave a lung to somebody with cystic fibrosis and did very well.
Oh, my.
Kidneys you can give. You can also donate bone marrow, I think up until the age of 55. And all of these are potentially life-saving, life-changing.
Is there a portion of the pancreas? Is that some I heard?
I don't believe so, Patrick.
No?
Do you know about that? I don't.
What?
I don't think you can donate part of the pancreas.
No, because if you start monkeying around with that, then you get a whole bunch of problems.
I thought I had heard that someplace, but it shows what I know.
Well, but there is a difference in donations. You have live donations and not live donations, right? And so they call one. They're all organ donors, but obviously, David over here did a live donation. And usually what you get is after a person has passed on, and the dead donations are you can harvest anything there because it's very simple. But there are some tissues that if you take it out of the human body, that body stops working.
And I hope that people, when they get their driver's license or get the driver's license renewal, will put themselves down as organ donors.
Yeah.
And that can be dramatically life-changing.
Now, before we go to the break, I'm curious. It doesn't, and this is going to be, I think, an easy question, or I expect I know the answer to this question, but in the article, one of the first things one of the questions that you were asked early on was, well, you don't even know this person. What if he's some scuzz? I think it's scuzzbag, if I'm quoting the article correctly. What if some scuzzbag? Is that a thought that entered your mind at all? Were you concerned about that before you met the gentleman that you donated to?
It's interesting. There is probably more than one. There's a Match.com for kidney donors, and probably for other donors as well. And part of the article, maybe you remember reading about that, where actually went on this website, and people have these really sad, dramatic stories. They're looking for kidneys. And you can potentially go online and match with people. And I inadvertently put my home phone number down when I was signing up for this and began to get phone calls. And there were people like, my husband, is a police officer and he's been on dialysis for several years. And we've got several kids at home. Can you please help? We need a kidney. And I finally decided to take my phone number off this kidneymatch.com and let the hospital decide.
Was that more stressful, do you think? I mean, I guess you can answer that question. Do you, because that sounds incredibly heartrending to have to field those pleas for help.
It would have been very stressful to make that decision. Where do you stop with the first person that has this need, or do you do you interview them? Do you meet them? There was another physician in town that I won't give her name because she may be very private about this, but told me that she donated a kidney about 10 years ago. A woman who formerly was a student with me, and she gave a kidney to her son's preschool teacher's spouse. And that was a meaningful gift to her. And by the way, there's no change afterwards. The only thing I have to be careful about is I'm supposed to be drinking lots of fluids, which is good to do anyway, and supposed to avoid aspirin compounds.
Right.
But besides that, I'm very healthy. I'm very active. No change in my health status.
We're going to be back right after this break. We're going to continue our conversation with Dr. David Drake, very fascinating individual, because, of course, he's a DO and a psychiatrist. So you can't get more exciting than that. We want to thank all of our sponsors, Bertrosh and Associates, Lubinas Law Firm, Halo Capital at DesMoinesInterestsRates.com, Des Moines Anesthesia PC at 515-574-6442. You can go to DocandLefty.com. We're going to have some blogs up here pretty quick. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We'll be back right after this break.
Bertrosh and Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. We are proud to work with military personnel and their families. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertrosh, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere. Our licensed mental health therapists provide individual counseling to children, adolescents, and adults, including couples and marital counseling. Visit our website at BertroshandAssociates.com for more information or call 515-334-9484. Our offices are located at 5525 Meredith Drive in Des Moines, just east of Skate North off Merle Hay Road. Isn't it time to talk to someone? Take care of yourself and your family. Contact Bertrosh and Associates.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here wrapping things up with Dr. David Drake. So happy to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking an hour of your time to talk about your story, talk about your humanitarian donation, and we really do appreciate having you on to talk to people. And honestly, and folks, I just got to editorialize here for a second. I think I can say this with, we love all of our guests. We really appreciate the time they're willing to spend with us. But I don't know that we've ever had someone on the show who, well, no, I take that back. We had a gentleman on around Christmas time that talked about his partner, his life partner's struggle with cancer, and that was really inspiring. Yeah. But I don't know, but I think you two are probably the most externally inspiring folks that we've had on. We had people calling in, figuring out how to get involved, and I just really appreciate that, and thank you so much. Yeah. But, Pat, you said you had some announcements to make.
There's a couple of things. My friend Jason, who is an all-around good guy and genius, said apparently you can donate a pancreas. That's a low risk to the living. It's been done 160 times since 1977. So there's that information. The other question, my brother has a question. Excuse me. He's first of all, he says you pretty much have to be a psychiatrist to be married to a lawyer. So Megan, that piece of advice is for you. Yeah. And then Joe wants to know, I was under the impression that the person that was selected for your kidney wasn't selected by you.
Right. That's exactly right.
All right.
So the hospital team did that.
All right. Great.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell us a little bit more about the selection process, if you know.
I don't know a lot of the specifics, but it was a multidisciplinary team that looked at need, looked at availability, looked at health status, and I had no input at all into the selection. So that's what happened there.
All right. So now, if they come asking for a part of your liver, is Claire going to let you go do that, or is that off the table for now?
I would actually consider other kinds of donations. In fact, I looked into bone marrow donation and found out that I'm too old. I think 55 is the cutoff at University of Iowa. Would I consider something else if I was still eligible? I would consider it. I think that my understanding is recovery from giving part of your liver, I think, is a huge, major recovery process. And I'm still, like Patrick, very active in my practice. But again, I encourage others to look at that. They may get calls from their family. It was interesting. I talked to a nephrologist, a kidney specialist, who said that some of the folks who have the most difficult time with the donation are actually family members. Some of them, sometimes they feel pressured into it. Sometimes they were the ones who are going to be changing their minds. I did think about changing my mind multiple times, and the surgeon told me, the very last moment, if you're going under anesthesia, and I say to him, there's one more thing, Doc, he said, I'd have to wake you up to find out what it was, because they wouldn't proceed with it. He said, at the very last moment you decide you want to change your mind, change your mind. And Dr. Johan Arts, who's also a DO, by the way, trauma transplant surgeon, excellent surgeon, recommend him. They're all good docs.
Right.
Well, did I read that it was a student of yours, a former student of yours that performed the operation?
A former student who, when I taught the psychiatry course, who was there. And it's fascinating what happens 10 years later. I mean, this guy is a trauma surgeon. Just
holy cow, and he was smart and knew you. Imagine that.
There you go. Who would know?
Now I have a question I want to put out there, and it's I don't want it to be a gotcha question, but it might seem like it. I know that there are people that will have children in order to give that child's organ to another sick child in the family. What is your personal stance on that? What do you think the ethics of that is for you?
Oh, I'd have great concern about that. Plus, I think there's lots of other people that adults can give organs to children, including family. That would be bizarre to me to endorse that.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, I was gonna, because I can't reveal anything, but that situation comes up more frequently than you would imagine. And I know a couple of years ago, a case made the papers where a woman had a child and then had the transplant from the child.
Right.
And so I can't remember what organ it was. So anyway, we want to thank Dr. David Drake for being on. We're going to finish up with just a couple of news items and our regular stuff.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for coming on, David.
Yes, thank you very much.
Honest to goodness, I have begged this guy for a year now.
You have.
I mean, it's like, David, come on. He goes, no, you're big and scary. I'm like, I'm a fuzzball. I'm soft. I'm fuzzy. We won't talk about. No. So finally, we got him on. We're glad he came on. So thank you again. Anything you want to tell anybody out there in the audience?
No, again, I'm just impressed with what you guys are doing, bringing people with different points of view together.
We're not going to be able to walk out with our egos.
No, I think that's a good, important effort. I think you guys are a good model here.
Well,
appreciate being here. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks a lot, David. We really appreciate it.
I needed that today. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to do with it. We usually get bashed and threatened.
Well, so, that's not
and
true.
That's just Maddie.
That's not true because you're big and I'm a lawyer. We don't get threatened at all.
That's true. Yeah, because he stands behind me and goes, if he doesn't kick your butt, I'm going to sue you.
Yep. That's how it goes.
Anyway, a couple of quick news items. Apparently, Netanyahu has declared victory over in Israel. So that I think that's a big deal. Okay. And Rand Paul, and we've had Paulites on the show.
We have,
and apparently he has unofficially announced he is officially going to announce his entry into the presidential race.
What is that going to do to his Senate seat in Kentucky?
Is he up for election this year?
Yes. And in Kentucky,
he's going to have to give it up.
That's the big news. That's the big news is that you can't appear on two primary ballots at the same time, and that he was encouraging Kentuckians the Kentucky legislature to pass legislation that changed it to a caucus system because then he wouldn't be on a ballot anywhere and be able to hang on to the seat while he ran for president. Yeah. And the Democrats aren't letting him do that, obviously. But have you been following that at all?
No, not a whole lot. I knew that there was going to be a complication, but it wasn't Biden that ran for vice president. It was Joe Lieberman that kept the Senate seat and ran.
Well, he lost. He did, except that he couldn't be on the Democratic. Remember, that's why he changed his registration independent.
All right.
He could, right. But no, he could not be the Democratic nominee, and he wrote himself in and won.
Yes. All right. I do remember that. So that's pretty interesting. So where are you going to be out this week?
I'll be at Blue Moon tomorrow night from 8 to 11. That's always a good time. I've been hanging out with those folks for a long time. And then the full band is playing in this place in Washington. I can't remember the name. I apologize, but folks in the Washington, Iowa area, come on down to there. It'll be on jbnb.com with the location for that. And then at the end of April, my good buddy from Florida, Sean Bright, is coming back. We're going to be doing duo shows all week at the end of April. And then
you guys have a synergy. That's some good stuff listening right there.
Yeah. So it'll be a fun time. And I'm even learning new current music, Dr. Petrosh. Seriously. Seriously, I had this. When I played it at Blue Moon a few weeks ago, I had this one. This is kind of funny to me. This one came and requested Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Fishing in the Dark. Right? If you are familiar with that song, and I knew it, but I didn't know that. I learned the chords really quick, and I was playing it, and she kept hollering at me. It's like, if you want me to line dance, you got to play it slower. And I said, I didn't ask you to line dance. I don't see $20 in my jar, so I don't know what you're hollering at me for. That did not win over the crowd. Heckling the audience just doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
No.
We want to thank everybody for tuning in. We will be back next week at the same time. As always, we don't know quite what we're going to talk about, but we do know
we'll be talking about it.
We'll be talking about it, and a lot about it. We want to thank DJ Matty G for being in the house. Thanks a lot, Matt. We'll be back next week. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Representative Tom Shaw, and I love these guys. Both of them.
Love these guys. Get over here. Get over here. Love both of them.